This is Season 2, Episode 28 of the Out of the Minds podcast. I'm Sean Oakley.
And I'm Sam Cooper, and today we're bringing you a very, very, very quick game, actually. This is probably going to be a short episode.
It is. Before we get into that, though, we should touch on the last episode. Because, obviously, in this podcast, we are looking for mistakes as we play through a game. But you and I... and to a certain extent, you made a mistake last week in the list building stage before we even got to the game.
Yes.
And we should touch on that. And it's the TIE Heavy. I was flying Rampage with sync laser cannons and veteran turret gunner. Because we were both of the opinion that it's two different turrets because you're treating your cannon as a turret weapon, which allowed you to do that. But funnily, it was mentioned on one of the Discords, and I asked for clarification about it. And it's, in hindsight, reasonably obvious when it's explained to you, but one of those things you don't necessarily see, that although it's two separate weapons, it's actually the same arc because you just have the one turret indicator. Obviously, like with, say, a Falcon with a bow tie, you shoot out one side, you shoot out the other.
Yeah.
So yeah, just thought we'd touch on that because that was a mistake on my part, and it's a learning curve.
Heavy is out.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a learning curve. But on to this week, and I had an itch to fly something new, and there was a list at the Polish Championships they had recently that I looked at it and went, that tickles my fancy. So I've gone to the Republic. And,
Ooh.
I mean, with thematic. It's always a nice one with thematic.
That is true.
And I have brought Anakin Skywalker in the Y-Wing with instinctive aim, dorsal turret, Protorps, veteran turret gunner, and an R4 astromech. Plo Koon in the Delta 7 with Predator and CLT. Rick in the N1 with Duke and R7A7. Oddball in the V-Wing with Plasmas and Besh, and a generic 212 Lat with Corky Cries. And for anyone that doesn't know, Corky's ability is when a friendly ship at range 0 to 2 in your front arc is declared the defender, you may transfer one green token to it. And also when a friendly ship at range 0 to 2 in your front arc defends, if you are obstructing the attack, they roll one more green. But it's a good way of lobbing a reinforce over to ships that don't natively have it.
Yeah, I feel like that second one is trickier to get.
Yeah, like I don't think that's something you play for. They're just, if they've come behind you and happen to shoot, great. But yeah, that's my list. Like, it's, apart from the Lat, it's all 6 and I5s. With the Lat rerolls, it's quite easy to get double mods on everything. Anakin can lob his torp with instinctive aim and still get the blank rerolls if you're in the Lat's arc.
Yeah.
So it is all nice.
All sorted. So my list, after weeks and weeks of whinging of not having to face a droid swarm, I've brought a droid swarm.
Yeah, okay, the whinging's done now, don't worry.
We told you this would be a short one. But being me, I've decided to add my own stupid twist to it. And we'll get to the twist. So I have 2 Geonosian prototypes in the H&P gunship. One has energy shells and sync laser cannons and the stabilizers. The other has energy shells, Kraken, and the stabilizers for those juicy calculates each turn. I then have DFS 311, 2 Howard Child prototypes, and 2 Trade Federation drones, all with energy shells and grappling struts, so 5 vultures. And then for my last 4 points, I have Cat Bane in the Rogue class with the Xanadu Blood title, Proton Cannons, and Duke.
Yeah.
So up until the last one, I feel like relatively standard droid swarm stuff.
Yeah.
And then for the last one, I was going to do Grievous, I was going to do Dis T81, and then I was like, hang on. Cad has, like, decent loadout, and Cad can take Duke. And I figured a Duke proton cannon with dead to rights is just the sort of nasty thing that no one ever wants to face.
Yeah, that's fair. And the fact that because you've got 7 other ships, and like 5 of them are vultures, things are going to be dying, so Cat should be getting his
Yes.
ability off.
And even if the ability, like, let's say a vulture dies and I get an ability, uh, it's quite versatile in this list because I can take a target lock on something that my gunships want to shoot,
Yeah.
and then they're going to get rerolls, or I can reposition. You know, there's lots of options in this.
Yeah.
And in theory, that proton cannon should be a gigantic "do not sit here, do not sit here." And when I've got 7 other ships getting in the way, sometimes sitting there might be the only thing you can do.
Yeah, yeah. So we are playing Salvage, which I wasn't overjoyed about purely because the number of ships you've got and Kraken allows you a bit more flexibility to pick up. And a lot of my ships want to reposition or have repositions.
Yeah, like Anakin could pick one up, I guess. The
The
Lark
Lark
could
can
pick
pick
one
one
up.
up, but you kind of want to leave the rest of them with the ability to.
Yeah, like especially Plo at the very least.
Especially Blow. Yeah. So I'm first player for turn 0. So I don't do my standard put it in the middle so I can pick it up because I don't really want to leave something hanging. I can't afford to leave something hanging around back there that long. So I put it on my right hand side, sort of a third of the way up the board edge, because there was a small part of me that was tempted to see how this joust goes, because if I kill enough ships, I can't. Like, if I can knock out at least 2 vultures so I don't have as many shells coming back.
And then whatever I shoot at probably takes a reinforce from the 212.
Yeah, exactly. I might do okay with that. But if you don't opt into that, it also leaves me. I suppose I can get closer up the board edge to get to where the engagement is happening with something.
And then I just placed my home objective as close to me as possible in the center, basically. Because I got plenty of ships. I want to pick it up.
That's fair. I place the one on your side, on the same side on the right, not quite as far up as possible, but to create a nice little triangle that you can nip in and get ships in and get 3 of them.
Yeah, and then I basically put it on my right hand side, so your left, as far to the side as possible. So we've now got basically a set of 4 objectives on my left and 1 objective on the far right. And my thought is, I'm going to fight over this bottom 4 and try and pick up as many as I can. And if you want, you can have your 1, because if you have your 1, chances are someone's not in the fight for the first round or 2.
Yeah. And then rocks pretty much get clustered around the center as much as possible, sort of.
Yeah. I'm basically trying to make your LUT have as hard a time as possible. And also set up some channels for you to come into to, again, line up my proton cannon down. Because, like, if you're coming between a rock, the proton cannon gives you, like, less leeway, essentially.
Whereas I was trying to keep them clustered towards the centre so that I have more space around the outside for the LUT and Anakin.
Yeah.
But actually, I feel like spreading out might have been the better call here and have the channels, but wider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we do essentially have a very tight cluster around the centre.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually almost as... Most of them are about as close as they can get to each other.
Yeah. Then we go to setup.
And I try something a little different.
And
I kind of screw it up, but it's okay.
It's quite funny because actually your setup suckered me, and I'll get to that in a second.
So I have I've got to place all my vultures first, and so I set up a row of 4 vultures, basically as far up as I can, and they're all placing along my board edge, basically to the left. I've set them up at the front one is just behind the halfway mark, and then they're all about a ship space behind each other. The idea being I could then four straight, and then for the first turn, and then get along my board edge, and then I can turn in, and I should be able to pick up my home objective and the one that you've placed in my half. Is my idea.
Yeah.
I place the 5th vulture, and I'm an R about this one, and I do a silly basically because I'm thinking about the turn in, not how I'm actually supposed to fly the formation later. And I place the 5th vulture. If you imagine my line along the front, I place my 5th vulture on the 3rd one in, so I have the space to put my 2 gunships in front of it, so that when I turn to the right because I have to face you, my gunships are still at the back, and the Kraken carrier is definitely protected.
Yeah.
I'll say protected in the inverted commas, because is it really protected? Not that much. And then you place your large. But I've already screwed up because I'm having to put my I2 gunships in front of my I1 vulture, which means I have to go fast. Because I have to. It's not bad, but it would have been nice to have an option to go slow.
No, but would swapping the red gunship and DFS not just be better, because then DFS is at the front.
Yes, it would have.
And your Kraken carrier is exactly where it is anyway.
Yeah, essentially, I just needed to put the vulture at the front of this column formation, and then have the 2 gunships in behind. But for some reason in my head, I was like, and when I turn to the right, I'm going to leave my Kraken carrier in an awkward spot. I don't actually think it would have ended up like that.
Yeah.
It is just me. It's just me being used to flying directly towards you, because I didn't want my gunships to be on the inside of the formation because they don't have 1 hearts.
Yeah.
But that's just me being silly.
Now, that actually baits me into doing something stupid. Because what I do is I set up the lat to the left of the left-handmost rock, basically behind your list. Thinking, okay, cool, you've either got to turn in straight away or you're running away from me. And I can put Anakin and we'll... But actually, in hindsight, doing that means that I have to chase you to catch up through the middle.
Yeah.
What I should have done was just set him up on the right-hand side and come fast enough to be like, if you're going to pick up crates, you're only going to have so many calculates, and if I can kill things that you then don't have them for the shells, that's a win. So yeah, that's a mistake on my part, definitely.
See, like I said, my gunships basically plug in the formation. Now I have a single gap at the very back of my formation where I'm sure Sean can probably guess that Cad is going to go.
Yeah. So Cad goes down there.
Yeah.
I set up Oddball on the far left because he's going to zip forwards and see if he can sneak round and try and get some plasmas onto Cad and try and strip those shields.
Yep.
Plo goes just to the left of the centre moustache rock, because where you've set up, I'm like, I can go fast enough to get into a gap where I can react almost to anywhere you go to kind of get him at least on a flank, I suppose.
Yeah.
With the ability to double reposition as well. Rick goes down on the far right. He's basically going to turn slowly, grab a crate, and then try and start doing Rick stuff, going fast and knocking stuff. And Anakin just goes to the left of the lot because basically he's going to follow that thing in for rerolls on his protops.
Makes sense. So you're essentially strung out. You got Rick out on the far right, Plo in the middle, and then the rest of your ships on your left-hand side. Essentially, they're aiming to follow me in. Yeah. So the idea being that I either turn now or you are following me.
Yeah.
And I've got basically four sets of 2 looking towards, basically facing along my board edge, looking to the left. So if I were to continue flying straight, I'd run into Rick.
Yeah. But yeah. Whereas I just think I should have just almost set up for the joust. And then Rick just goes fast round the outside, I suppose. Or even Rick sits in the centre to be able to zip through the centre. But yeah. There we go. So let's crack on with it.
And turn 1 is pretty straightforward. My entire list does a 4 straight at various initiatives, and it all calculates, except for Cad, who evades.
Yeah, the lat just does a 2 straight, and I focus. Rick just does a 1 bank because I am not. I wanted to leave options open depending on if you turned in straight away or you came down the board edge. And from there, I can 3 hard, 3 bank anyway, and do things, or I can just stay there and pick up the crate.
Yeah.
I barrel roll to the left again just to provide a bit more space if I need to hard turn behind the rock, etc. Or it leaves the 5 straight into the centre free. Oddball does do a 5 straight to get up the board edge and focuses. Plo does a 3 straight, just get him basically in line with the 2 rocks and leave me options for where to go the next turn. And Anakin just does a 1 straight because I want to leave myself behind the lat so I can turn in behind it. Nice and easy.
Yeah. With Kraken, I keep a calculate on the 2 gunships and the Cad, because that's going to be my way of letting Cad evade most turns, is if I have a calculate, I at least have a focus mod.
I don't know why, but I had it in my head until that point that Kraken only worked on droids. And then you were like...
nope, it just... Yeah. Friendly ships can keep a calculate. And the thing I did miss is that DFS 311 passed his calculate to Cad, so that Cad would have 1 to keep.
Yeah. And we go into turn 2, and this is the biggest mistake of the game for me. Nice and early, get it out of the way.
So, my front 4 ships in my set of 8 formation do 3 hards. 1 of them picks up a crate, he's just in range, and everyone else calculates. And my back 4 ships do a 1 hard to the right. 1 of them picks up DFS picks up a crate, and everyone else calculates except for Cad, who takes an evade. So I've kind of split my formation into 2 sets of 4, because I'm trying to make it so like, hey Rick, you sure you want to come down this way? 4 guys might jet at you. Whilst being able to be like, or I could just all bank in, and then I've got a decent like spread of ships looking at where most of your ships are.
Yeah. Hindsight, you were never going to jet that fast because you'd move your Kraken carrier away from half your ships.
Yeah, but
that's the great thing about
I would still be in range of some of them, and it'd be like I could go fast enough, because if I thought Rick was going to dawdle, it probably would be worth it. Yeah. But I wasn't 100% sure on that one.
The lat just does a 1 bank, narrowly misses a rock, and picks up a crate. And then I think Cad 1 harded in behind.
Yeah, Cad 1 harded in and joins the formation, takes an evade.
Oddball just does a 1 bank. No, hang on, I can't remember. A 3 bank, sorry, and takes a focus. Rick just 1 straights and picks up a crate. Because I have the opportunity to go 3-2 up here, and I kind of need to take it.
Yeah.
And then the mistake. I do a 3 straight with Plo, which leaves me range 1 of the crate. And I pick it up. What I should have done is fine-tune control to the right. Gone backwards.
Barrel behind the rock.
Barrel behind the rock. Gone backwards because I think I'd have enough space to get past
like
it.
A 1 hard.
A 1 hard. I think a 1 bank might even fit.
Yeah, like a 1 hard at least would have got you past the rock.
I'd still be range 1 because in fact I'd be even closer to it. And then picked up the crate. It cost me a force and I'm probably not getting shot that round, so I just regen it straight away. What not doing that has done is a multitude of things, but the biggest problems are with where the rock is, I can't hard turn to the right. I don't think I can 1 and 2 bank without clipping it, or at least overlapping it, and on a 4 health ship with a droid swarm in front of me, I can't afford that. So I'm either left with going straight, and I can do maybe a 3 straight at most before I hit the other rock in front of me, and I'm definitely not getting a bull, or didn't think I'd be getting a bullseye on people. Or I can bank in. And then the flip side, I'm also now in the Lart's way. So the Lart can't just do a 1 straight, which is what it really wants to do. And then Anakin just one banks behind and takes a focus because
No shooting. The gunships and CAD keep their calculates. And this, so I'll admit, I did not see the next turn coming because I saw Plo's move and I was like, oh, that's brave. But then I was like, but also it's not like I could punish you doing that. And I just assumed this turn was the get out a little bit turn. Try and buy another turn of 3-2 on the points.
yeah.
So I was like, well, I've got to commit because I didn't think Rick was coming down to face the swarm because I thought Plo was definitely bugging out. The lat might even stop.
The problem
and
with
you
the
just,
lat
just
stop,
take a turn out.
yeah, the problem with the
Yeah.
lat stopping is there isn't enough space for Anakin
Yeah.
to one straight behind. Otherwise, I
Yeah,
might have considered.
I was like,
that.
Anakin might have turned. I don't know. In my head, this was a bug out turn, so I was like, okay, I've got to press the advantage because if very little shooting happens next turn, all of a sudden it's 6-4, and then you don't have to kill too many vultures to really snowball it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, we'll bank in. No way Rick is coming down this way, so everyone banks in. We'll try and catch who we can catch, and then we'll just basically go straight towards you because you are on that half of the board. Eventually, I'll hit something.
Yeah. The issue with me, I think, is, and with Plo bugging out, because I can't reposition, I've only got a 2 hard.
Yeah.
Like, I think any of the banks get me, or the 3 bank gets me far too close to you.
Yeah.
If the Lat stops, it can't reinforce. Which then, and if Plo turns away, Plo's just sat there taking shells.
Just sat there eating shells. Yeah.
So-
I guess from that perspective, it makes sense. But to me, I was like, well, there's no way you're coming in because that's suicide. So I was like, you have to be going away.
Yeah. See, I expected you to come in. So I, spoilers, dial in a 3 bank with Plo in just the vain effort that I bump something.
Yeah.
And then it's 1 less shot. And then if you go into him with the others, I'll lob a reinforce. But I am first player for turn 3.
Yeah. So all of my ones. Essentially, all the vultures do a 2 bank. One DFS 311 specifically barrel rolls to the. No wait, it can't be DFS 311. The colors must be off here.
No.
because
You
DFS
go
is
to
crate.
barrel roll, and then I remind you that you've got a crate.
Yeah, no, I was thinking the one that did barrel roll isn't DFS 311. The colors are just slightly off.
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah,
off the
sorry.
overlay, but that's fine. One of the vultures barrel rolls into a calculate because I was positive that I was going to bump somewhere. I go to barrel roll with DFS 311, and then remember that that's illegal. With a prompt from no one. But all of the vultures essentially do a 2 bank and calculate.
The Lat does a 1 bank because at this I need the reinforce, so I can't afford a self bump, and this means that I've turned the arc for fire convergence away from the majority of your list.
Yeah.
I nearly 2-harded and rotated, but I'm sure what that gains me. So yeah, and takes the red reinforce to the front.
Then the gunships both 2 bank. 1 2 banks and calculates. My Kraken carrier had 2 hards and calculates because I just didn't believe I was not gonna.
Your Kraken
No, I
carrier
go for a
lock,
target lock.
Yeah.
I go for a target lock, trying to see if the Lat is in range. It's not, so I lock a rock, and I 2-harded because I just didn't believe I was gonna land it in the middle of this formation. And the red gunship almost bumped, so I was quite glad I did.
That's fair.
But I also opened up the stabilizers on that one, so that way I can basically side slip behind my formation as the fight is now beginning. And then CAD does a 1 bank and evade. Sorry.
So Oddball does a 2 straight, and I take a lock onto CAD, and what I should have done here was barrel roll to the right, out of the bullseye, because you can't.
You are in CAD's bullseye.
You can't. If I barrel roll to the left and then I kill a droid, you just barrel roll back and get the bullseye.
Yeah.
But if I barrel roll to the right, you couldn't do that. The ship's in the way, and there's every chance that either blue or DFS is in the bullseye, so I could pick up a lock.
Yeah.
But I was just kind of almost tunnel visioned by the fact I've got plasmas. CAD's the only ship with shields.
Yeah.
But actually, I should have just been like, it's 3 dice against the vulture, and I deny the range bonus.
Yeah. Simple as that. That's honestly all it matters, because this was interesting to me because I was like, I actually just thought you just hadn't read what the abilities on my ship are about to do to Oddball. Because I went and then double checked. I was like, Juke is every attack, right? Yeah, Juke is every attack. So I have a juking proton cannon with dead to rights. I was like, there's no way he stays there.
Because it was the first time I've flown this list, I was kind of concentrating on my list a little bit. I was aware of Cad's ability. I'd forgotten about Duke, and I'd completely forgotten about dead to rights. Not that hugely matters. But yeah.
Yeah. Not that it ended up mattering, but to me it was like, you can, no matter what this plasma rolls, I'm not spending that evade.
Yeah. Carrying on, Rick does a 3 hard because I had a feeling you'd turn in, and I was like, all right, maybe I get a shot this turn, but if not, I'm well positioned to hard turn behind, and either you have to turn something away to face him, or I'm behind you. Gets his 3 evade and takes a focus. And then Plo does a 3 bank, and it doesn't bump anything, which I'm just a little bit sad about. But I am range 1 of a droid, and I'm like, okay, maybe it's in the bullseye, so I've got Predator. I'm going to add a focus. 1 blank and it... Well, I mean, if I get a full string, 1 blank and it dies.
Yeah.
And I have other shit, like I shoot that ship first. Maybe something else has a shot on it. And then Anakin 3 straights behind the lot and takes a target lock onto the blue droid. And actually, what I should have done here was locked the green droid. Because I had them both in range.
Yeah.
But I had it in my head. Like, vultures can pop. But they also stay alive far longer than they should. It's always one of the 2 ways, and I always forget about the staying alive bit and just think, oh, I can easily pop 2 vultures, and it never quite works. I should have just gone for the one that was sat in front of Plo, because that would be 1 less shot into Plo.
Yes, because the blue one can, but the blue one on the rock, it's landed on all the rocks. It has a calculator, it has a shell, but it can see Oddball, the Lat, and Anakin.
Yeah.
Whereas everyone else in my list can see Plo.
Yeah. Yeah, I should have locked that, because Plo would have still had, not great shots, but looking at that...
He would have had a shot.
I say, that angle, I think I might even clip a bullseye on the Kraken carrier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, even if you don't, like, just shoot another vulture, hope for a random crit, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I fire a Protorp into blue, just check fire convergence. I opt to spend the lock, because I think I might need it, and I end up with hit crit.
I roll blank, vulture dies. I trigger Cad Bane's ability, and I target lock Oddball.
Rick has a range 3 shot onto Brown. I've got the extra dice, and I end up with Trail Mix. And I opt not to spend the focus, because A, you've just got so many calculates around. You've got 3 greens. Yeah. But B, I kind of want to discourage you from shooting Rick. So I leave it focus evade.
I roll blank focus, so I spend one of the gunship's calculates to dodge it.
Plo goes range 1 into green. I end up with 4 paint and end up with 4 hits.
And I roll 2 evades.
Like, I needed either a blank or at least a spend of a calculate, so there's less... Because I don't think you had the gunships. And
the yellow gunships I probably would have had.
Yeah, but sorry, I don't think you have red who has a calculate. Which means
yellow definitely has a calculate. The yellow has yellow has 1 calculate at the very least.
What?
It's probably underneath the gunship.
Oh, okay.
Because the 2 gunships and Cad were the ones who kept their calculates from last round.
Fair. Yeah. Because my hope was, like, if you to be fair, even if you'd spent yellows, because he might have arc, like 1 less calculate may mean 1 less shell.
1 less shell, yeah.
I get 2 through.
But unfortunately, I rolled double evade. So weirdly, my defense felt great, but like watching it back, I'm like, actually, I've had like the full mix of defense. Yeah. It's just on the one I needed it, I got 2 evades. Yeah. It's a really weird feeling.
So I go to Oddball, who has the plasma into Cad. He has a range 3 shot into DFS, or he has a range 3 obstructed shot into green, and I should have taken the range 3 obstructed shot into green. It's 2 on 4, but
1 health.
Yeah, 1 health. Maybe a double blank again.
But I understand why you didn't, because it always feels bad when you have the target lock shot to take the shot that has no mods.
Yeah, I completely agree. But that was again. That would save Plo, and
Yeah.
but I don't. I fire the plasma. I get 3 blanks, so I spend the target
Oh,
lock,
baby.
and I get 2 blanks and 1 hit.
Oh, baby.
All right, fair days. And
I roll 2 focuses, and I really do seriously consider just not blocking this because I need to make sure this proton cannon smashes oddball.
you spend the
but I do spend my calculate because I then realize, wait, if I don't block this, that's all the shields gone rather than just 1. If it was just 1, I think I probably would have let it through.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
But I do spend my calculate. But unfortunately, it's now my turn, and I fire the proton cannon into oddball. I got hit, focus blank. I spend the target lock, and I, unfortunately, for Sean's luck, convert it into hit focus. Proton cannon changes the focus to a crit, so I have 3 hits and a crit into oddball.
And I roll trail mix.
At which point I yell, Duke.
And I die. The Lart takes I think, range 3 shot into DFS. And doesn't do anything.
Yeah, you roll 1 hit and I roll trail mix. And then the rest of my list shoots into Plo.
I pass the reinforce over with Quickie. But spoilers, he doesn't live.
Plo does die in the end. It does take the entire list doing the shooting, though.
Yeah, that reinforce came in real handy.
Yeah. Oh wait, no. It looks like I have a. No, it looks like it is all going into.
It was the
crate came off. That's
crate came off on the penultimate one, and then he dies. And we call it there because I'm not coming back.
Because the game is really easy for me at this point.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
it is over for me. Because even if I nuke another droid with Anakin, I've only got 2 heavy hitters left. The Lart
2 heavy hitters left. The Lart
can't get a mod.
Stressed.
Has to 2 hard next turn or disengage. And it is what it is, unfortunately. And I think there are a couple of choices I made that affected it, but I still think the biggest one was having Plo where he was when he picked up the crate.
Yeah.
Like, the Lart would have been so much more effective because I would have had rerolls on everyone. Plo would have been off to the side, so if you're shooting him, it's like, I think you would have only had 4 shots on him, and are you splitting fire?
Yeah, well, I think the most important thing is if Plo is on the right side of the rock rather than the left side, it's not just an easy 2-bank, because you were on the left side of the rock, I knew I could just 2-bank and you'd be there.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're on the right side, I'm like, okay, do I go for Plo? Okay, that means we're going straight. That means we're ignoring Anakin and the Lat. Or do I go for the Lat and ignore Plo? Because Plo could disengage. Well, not truly disengage, but, could be out of the way.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a sharp lesson in what not to do.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, there is a world where Plo survives that because, I had all the mods and I used almost all of my calculates.
Yeah.
But I also didn't roll very many blanks on my attacks, and we all know what a shell swarm's attacks look like when you're rolling blanks about rerolls.
Yeah. That's true. And had that been the case, the reinforce would have saved me. But I mean, I put the ship where it was. And it died, and that is a consequence.
I think it's I think it's taking my entire list to shoot it is probably average.
Yeah.
I think it is reasonable for me to be like, if 6 of my ships shoot at Plo Koon of a reinforce, he probably should die.
Yeah, definitely. Well, if you're firing shells, particularly.
Yeah.
I think that's the key, isn't it? Because it's the extra red, it's the green denial. So
it was one of those. It was a weird situation because we talked it out a little bit because my next turn, everything just 2 straights. Anakin's got to be there.
Yeah, which I would have.
And he can kill it and he can kill a droid, but he probably dies. Or at least takes a lot of damage. I'll say it takes a lot of damage.
I would have been fine with that if the Lat was in front of him.
Yeah, and facing
facing the right way. And Rick swung round and Plo was still alive and had done a 5k behind you.
Yes, exactly. That's why we were like, we call it now, because now Plo's dead. It's basically that chances are next turn Anakin dies.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And then at that point, Rick versus the world.
Yeah. But, like, I think almost any other scenario, in this specific matchup, I feel this is probably the worst.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think maybe just having played the list a few more times, so that I've got my head around it and can concentrate a bit more on your list.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Basically, I think a combination of turn 0 and the plow shot.
Yeah.
Like, I think I've got a chance to get up on objectives here, which normally is a good thing, might not have been the right call.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because, or at least I think Plo should have gone for the objective, but not been. I should know, but you had to go basically that fast. Like it's
No,
hard.
I don't think he should have gone for the objective.
Yeah,
I think he should have left his options open.
I think he needed to be able to boost and barrel roll.
Yeah, like I can leave one in the center. If you're going to go and pick it up, it's one less calculate on the board. I'm shooting everything before you. If I can, it's not even about killing. It's about denying the shells. So yeah, I don't really think there's a whole lot more to say about that one. It's
No, there really isn't.
I did enjoy the list though, so I will probably bring it again next week and have a second attempt at it. And see if we can nail it a bit better.
I'll probably bring this list again. Cool. I like this one. Like I'll give Cad Bane a few more goes, but I actually quite like his build. It's simple and it's annoying.
Yeah, definitely. Right. Well, on that note, we'll wrap it up nice and early this week.
Yeah, got quite a quick one, unfortunately, or fortunately.
Yeah. We'll see if next week's goes a little longer.
I'm sure it will.
Until then, I'll just say goodbye.
Ta-ta.